Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is an offering of the Compliance Podcast Network. September 13th, 2019, the Rattle Out of the Pram edition. First up, from Bloomberg, former Peruvian President Alejandro Toledo must remain in a California jail while fighting extradition to his home country of Peru. Magistrate Thomas Hickson rejected his request to be released on bail, saying the risk is too high that he would flee and the assets he offered to put up were insufficient. Next up, from the deal book over at the New York Times, 145 executives demanded that the U.S. Senate take action on gun violence. They said the continued failure of the Senate to do anything is simply unacceptable, and it was a direct and urgent call to address gun violence in America. It's, of course, unclear whether Moscow Mitch will do anything, but when you have 145 executives leading the charge, it clearly shows the dysfunction of the Senate and their inability to move forward on something that most Americans clearly want. Next up, in the Wall Street Journal, the government has ordered Google to let employees speak out. The National Labor Relations Board has settled a political bias claim raised by current and former Google employees. Federal regulators have ordered Google to assure employees that they're allowed to speak out on political and workplace issues. It's a settlement of a formal complaint that Google not only stifles such speech, but actually punish those who engage in it. The settlement comes in response to a pair of complaints about Google's reaction to workplace consent, and clearly is more reputational damage for Google going forward. And finally, who would possibly toss a rattle out of a pram? Well, as you might guess, the NCAA has thrown just a uber tantrum over the California State Assembly's Fair Pay to Play Act. The NCAA says it's not prepared to change at all. Nevertheless, the pressure is coming. The NCAA opened with a statement that there's currently a level playing field for all students and athletes, which this would upend. The NCAA has also claimed that they won't allow the colleges outside of California to play in college championships because they'd be playing professionals. The NCAA has said that college students have no right to obtain payment from the toil of their labor, nor do they have rights to their images or their signatures or really anything else. The NCAA has said that they're working on a proposal, but they've had 100 years to do it, and they just can't seem to get around to it. So, major temper tantrum by the NCAA over this California law. The clear movement by some 13 or 14 other states to address this via legislation will certainly spell the end of the NCAA. No doubt one of the most obstructionist and corrupt organizations in college athletics today. So when you wonder about who's going to throw a rattle out of a pram, well, when the legislature starts taking away the NCAA's ability to keep college students from receiving any pay, that would certainly qualify going forward. Over the past couple of weeks, I've been running a podcast series on Converge 19, the conference being put on by Conversant October 2nd and 3rd in Denver. I've been previewing the speeches of various speakers at Converge 19. We link to registration and information on the conference in each one of these podcasts. So check out my Converge 19 podcast series, and I hope you'll join us at Converge. Mike Volkoff and I are back for another episode of Why a Duck, where we take a deep dive into the Antitrust Division new corporate compliance program. Check it out.